The Bulls have a fun, bad, competitive loss at home against the Phoenix Suns, but is it enough? We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. He's also a DEI hire, apparently, but nonetheless.
Hey, listen.
Host, creator of
the DEI guy, yeah, man. Apparently,
Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts.
I'm the
inside joke, by the way, y'all. And today's episode is brought to you guys by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Pat.
Just living that DEI life.
That DEI higher life, bro.
Just living that DEI life, bro. I don't know how I'm a DEI hire, but shout out to you. That's what all the Australians.
Hey, listen, shout out to your patience, bro, because like I choose violence regularly, and that would have been one of the times where I was like, all right, bet.
I told you on Twitter, man. His DNA chose violence when they left out a chromosome.
That's crazy. The Bulls have a loss today against the Phoenix Suns. We're going to talk specifically about Josh Giddey here in the second segment, but let's focus overall in the game today. The Bulls, they had a 13-point lead early on. Yeah. By the second half, they were down by 2, I believe, and they still played a competitive second half of basketball. But the Suns just pulled away from it. The Bulls didn't have enough down the stretch. We did have a really solid, decent defensive game from Julian Phillips today, which could go a long way in him getting a little bit more minutes, especially while Patrick Williams is down. But how'd you feel overall in the game, Pat?
Listen, I thought this was a competitive game by the young Bulls. It's tough in the long run of things when you don't get a win in this game, but I guess that's kind of what the Bulls want to happen. Maybe we really don't know the plan. What I liked about this game though was the defensive intensity from the team. Right, you saw it throughout. The second quarter was when the defense had its worst stretch, and to me, I think that you kind of put yourself in a tough position after that second quarter, and that's kind of why you end up on the losing end of this. Just allowing Phoenix too many opportunities. I mean, as far as them, you won the turnover battle in that quarter, and still allowed them to go out there and shoot 76%. 76%. And it wasn't just them getting hot, right? It was a lot of open looks, a lot of looks in the corner, really good ball movement. Phoenix is one of those teams that when they get offensively going, they really get going. I thought in that quarter, one of the mistakes that Billy Donovan made was when you kind of saw that back and forth between Bradley Beal and Kobe White. You didn't allow Kobe White to keep going at him. You didn't allow Kobe White to go back out there. I really think that stagnated. Stagnated. I don't know how to say that. It made the team become stagnant. Defensively, because there was kind of a serious back and forth happening there when Bradley Beal knocks down that big shot, and then you come back out with a completely different lineup. Those are the moments where I think Billy Donovan just doesn't understand the momentum of the game, and I think that really started kind of that trend of the Bulls going the wrong direction, and it just kept going that same path throughout the rest of that quarter, and it made it tough for the rest of the game, but they fight their way back in it. It was a fun game down the stretch, but to me, looking back at that second quarter, that's kind of where it felt like it got away from us.
Yeah, I mean, and like when you have stars, and Julian Phillips, who did an admirable job on Kevin Durant, for what it's worth, but got in foul trouble. Like it's gonna be difficult to win that game. But yeah. I think when you look at this game, a lot of the young players showed flashes of what you need to see. Now we got some questions on one of those in Modest in the fourth quarter play there. We'll talk about that here in the last segment. He led you in scoring in the first half of the game. He did have some defensive lapses there in the third quarter, but and I think more so than just the rotations overall, it's those situational rotations sometimes. Like Billy Donovan stuck to a 3-guard lineup today when it wasn't being impactful. And while maybe Julian Phillips wouldn't have had foul trouble if you had another forward out there with him rather than 3 other guards out there to play them together. And so that's kind of some of the things, of course, looking at with Billy Donovan. But I love the way that this team did compete. They just didn't have enough down the stretch of this game. How'd you feel about Kobe's second half? Very, very pedestrian first half of this game. Woke up a little bit in the second half, which we've seen from Kobe before. And I know we need to see much more consistency. We're both on the same page about wanting to see consistency from Kobe. But how'd you feel about his second half today, though?
Listen, I thought that the second half was a good way to get back. But again, right, that conversation we were having when Kobe started to cook a little bit, gets the big foul on Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal doesn't like it, felt like he was pushed. Bradley wants to create something out of it. You had Kobe getting some momentum. You take him out of the game. Very Billy Donovan-like, right? In the second half, Kobe White being able to put himself back on track after that. I thought that was impactful for the Bulls. I thought that's a big part of you getting back into this game, started to get the three ball to fall a little bit. And to me, again, right, like, we'll talk about Josh Giddey in depth, but the play that Josh Giddey has had over the last couple of games defensively, I think it has affected Kobe White almost and put a little bit of pressure on him. I see Kobe White playing the passing lanes better. I saw Kobe White fronting Kevin Durant at an elite level. Now he's got small hands, small arms, right? So there's only so much that you can do with that. But I saw him fronting Kevin Durant. I saw him, trying to get ahead of the basketball and trying to beat the ball to the spot more times than not. Like I thought that created a lot of good opportunities for the Bulls down on the other end where, you get everybody else running, you get the ball ahead to Lonzo. Lonzo's going to find a way to get the ball right back to you. And I think we saw that a lot more in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and they're finding their balance, man. This is going to be the type of game you see from this Bulls team for the remainder of the season, really. Yeah. I said this over on Central. Like, this is the type of game that you should just kind of book it. Like, as far as them being competitive, fighting, but just not having enough down the stretch or making some mistakes as you play younger players, things like that are going to rear its ugly head. But I want to talk to you about somebody that I don't think either one of us really thought we talk anything positively about. Kevin Huerter had himself a decent game today. He had himself a decent game, Pat.
Listen. Here's what I'll say about the Kevin Huerter game. Kevin Huerter had the most unimpactful Kyle Kuzma buckets I've ever seen.
That's not fair, bro.
Bro, Kevin Huerter missed every wide open, impactful shot that would have been like, oh, we got to run.
He did miss a lot of wide opens. Yeah, he did miss a lot of wide open shots, right?
There are buckets that are impactful to the game, and there are buckets that kind of move the game along. The threes that he knocked down moved the game along. I didn't feel like they were impactful threes. When you need wide open in the quarter, Kobe on a drive, beautiful dime, nobody around him, just knock it down, and we cut this to a 1-point game, and we can go out here and play some solid defense. He threw it over the rim.
He also chipped in steals today. He was active, which was surprisingly
solid steal down low. Got a solid steal down low. I thought he had a nice. I'll say this about Kevin Huerter, right? Because the shooting to me, right, the numbers can say one thing. I watched it. Defensively down low, I thought he had a better impact. Played more of his size today, which is surprising because I don't expect anything from Kevin Huerter defensively. I thought he played more of his size down low.
Led the team in plus minus tonight. Zach Collins stepping in for the injured Jalen Smith today. 8 points, 10 rebounds. I saw some defense from Zach Collins today that I didn't expect at all. Like, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. Like, I saw a defensive rotation today when he actually got rotated on to Kevin Durant and actually stayed with him and forced him to pass the ball. I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah. KD, Pat, I will say, and I don't know if you noticed this today, but on Zach Collins guarding him, KD passes out of a lot of plays where you like, you should be cooking right now. Is it coming? Is it getting to that time? Like he had Kobe White on the wing, 1-on-1, caught the ball back to the basket, faced him up, and just never made a move and just passed the ball back out. And I was like, oh, that's different.
You know what I think it is? And I think everybody kind of focused on the fact that Kevin Durant said apparently he turned down or said he didn't want to get traded to Golden State. But then when he was asked about it after the trade deadline and where he said, oh, I just didn't want to move my family in the middle of the season. I think that's telling for what could happen at the end of the season. I'm just saying.
It definitely feels like I'm just riding this one out. It feels a little boochish.
Yeah, we just gonna win. We got 25 games. That's what it feels like. It's 25 games. We'll see what happens after.
It was weird watching KD today because I thought there were a couple. He had Trey Jones on him down in the post and threw it back up to Devin Booker, and I was like, what the heck is happening right now? But again, right, their ball movement today I thought was really good. It's what ended up being the dagger for the Bulls in the fourth quarter. A bad defensive switch by Giddey. And Kobe White. Kobe's got to call that out to I'm sorry, not Giddey, by Modest and Kobe White. Kobe's bringing the double team to get the ball out of Kevin Durant's hand. To me, you got to call out to Modest, hey, get on the left side so that you don't have to run behind Modest to try and get back to Bradley Beal after you get the ball out of Kevin Durant's hands. But they end up playing a good brand of basketball today. And I thought, Zach Collins was, I think more surprising to me was Zach Collins' defensive rotation than Kevin Huerter on the offensive end.
That's fair. That's fair. But next, we're going to talk about Josh Giddey's game today, in which he had a very good, solid game throughout on both sides of the ball. But first, we got to get to a message from DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-25 regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Here are a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. Game Day Feast. After an epic 50-point performance, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. Whether you're staying up or watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight and after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Pat. So, Josh Giddey, solid game from him today. I think he played well on both sides of the ball. We've seen before. When Josh Giddey's engaged defensively, he actually looks like somebody who could be an okay defender. I'm not going to say like a great defender or anything, but he does look like he can be a solid defender. He was one today, impactful on both sides of the basketball. How you feeling about Josh Giddey's game?
Listen, this is what I've been missing. This is what I've been missing from him. When Josh Giddey's got a smaller guy on him, I know that he can be aggressive offensively and he can go down there and score, right? When he's facilitating the ball at a high clip and the Bulls are knocking down shots, he can find guys open. I do still want more assists out of him, but I thought, today you give me a 10 assist day, I'm not complaining about it. But all of the offensive stats aside, what we've seen from the last two games, if this continues, I'll be talking about paying Josh Giddey at the end of this season. Because what Josh Giddey may not have understood is when he raises his defensive level, the rest of the team has to raise theirs. And that's what we've seen out of the Bulls over these last couple of games that has put them in good positions. Now, again, the Phoenix Suns, not a great team, but offensively, they really can get after you. Josh Giddey being in the passing lanes, I thought that was phenomenal today. How we've seen him kind of around the rim, being somebody as a trailer who is just using his length. I'm not telling you to go down there and be Lonzo Ball on Tyus Jones, which is one of the most disrespectful blocks I've seen. But I'm not telling you be that guy every night. What I'm telling you is use your length and your size to your advantage. We've seen that over these last couple of games. And to me, this is some of the best defense I've ever seen Josh Giddey play in my life. Now, listen, he still gets cooked. He's going to get cooked. He does not move his feet well. That probably will not change. But it's the effort. And when you see his effort level on the defensive end get raised up, what's that do to Lonzo Ball? What does that do to Modest Buzelis? What does that do for Nikola Vucevic? What does that do when Julian Phillips is out there having to guard Kevin Durant? Like, those are the things where it's like, listen, if you're going to be kind of the, I'm not going to say the leader, but the captain of this offense and the captain on the team in general, which I think if you keep getting long-term, that's what you would expect him to be. Those are the moments where the thing you don't want to do or the thing that you're worst at, give me your best effort there and watch how the team raises their level of play. I thought that Josh Giddey was such an integral part of what we saw out of the rest of the team's defense today. I wasn't even worried in the last few minutes of the game when we've got Julian Phillips guarding Kevin Durant. Because I'm like, look, he's playing them well, and he doesn't have to worry about somebody completely falling asleep on the backside. Every play. There's still a few where he was knocked out there. But
yeah, I mean, that's part of that situational awareness. But yeah, I mean, 24 points today, just to go over the stats, 8 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. And Josh Giddey's blocks, like, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's averaging a block per game almost on the season. Like,
might be close to that. Might be close.
So like Josh,
where he's at. I got you. I don't have 32 blocks on the season. I don't know where that goes to blocks per game. That's not averaging.
So that's
out
about a
here,
half a block per game.
Half a block a game right there, something like that.
So I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, so Josh Giddey's over his steal per game. I know he's averaging that as well. Like that's what you want. That's where you want Josh Giddey to be, man. He's 22 years old, so very young. For the month of February, he's averaging 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 1 block, 1.5 steals per game, 2.6 turnovers per game. No turnovers today as well, by the way. And he got to the free throw line 9 times. I think that's really important, and that's something as well that I know that the Suns stopped going to it, but while they were, Billy Donovan didn't attack that enough. When Tyus Jones was on Josh Giddey, and now it's been very rare times I've seen Josh Giddey literally look at somebody and be like, "Oh, bet you're gonna have to show me."
Too small.
Yeah, like, and that's exactly like it, and he did knock back down from Tyus Jones, and you loved for that recognition from Josh Giddey for sure.
Yeah, no, listen, to me, that was, I thought that we've seen some of Giddey's best basketball the last couple of games. I know Muzz were in the comments on my heels. Well, Pat, Josh Giddey had a great game tonight. Yes, but it has to stay consistent. And to me, 2 games in a row, that's the start of a streak. You get to 3, now you're on a streak. Let's get to 4. Let's get to 5. Let's finish out the season playing this way, because this Josh Giddey is the elite level point guard that everybody is trying to sell me on. I'm not telling you he has to go out there and be a 105 defensive rating. I'm not telling you I'm looking for him to be Lonzo Ball on the defensive end. I'm looking to him to have effort on the defensive end. More times than not this season, we've seen Josh Giddey facing the wrong way while somebody is shooting the basketball. Tonight, I feel like, and last night as well, he was just locked in defensively, kind of realizing, hey, this is the part of the court where I know I need to work the hardest. This is where I'm going to work the hardest. And I think it made things easier for him offensively on the other end, again, because when you're out there with a player like Lonzo Ball, if Josh tips the pass, tips the ball, meets him at the rim, it's not like I can't tip the basketball back to somebody who can get out on the break, who catches Josh, who's able to use his length now, cut into the basket. Like, I think it just opens things up a lot. The one thing I will give Giddey credit on, and I think is probably the most under-talked about part of his game this season, that maybe even I've overlooked, I'll admit it, that maybe even I've overlooked, never thought he'd shoot the 3 ball like this. It still looks ugly. Still looks ugly. It's not a pretty 3 ball. But and listen, it's only 33% in over the last 10 games, but 35% on the season. He's climbing in the right direction. That's all I can ask from you.
I think the most important part of this is that you said you want to see Josh Giddey tip more balls.
That's not really a Giddey joke, though. I mean, it would.
It's not a Giddey joke. You said you want to see him tip more. I'm just going off what you said. It's not even a joke. I'm quoting you. It's a quote. I'm quoting you.
I mean, it's a quote, but I know where you were going with it.
I'm just here to present the quote, Pat. That's all I'm doing.
I feel like that's not a quote you bring up for Giddey, though. A Giddey quote is, once again, Giddey under 18. You know what I mean? That's a Giddey quote. It's not a. Yeah, I mean, like. By the way, thanks for finally staying above 20. That's all I'm saying. Stay above 20.
Anyway, wow, Pat.
Shout out Josh Giddey. He's been hooping, actually.
Lonzo. Let's talk about Lonzo. While always in a positive plus minus, and we know that he impacts, we do have to, at some point, despite the positive things that Lonzo brings to the game, how bad is his shooting hurting the team? Is it that we need to get to the point? Do you want to see Lonzo keep shooting and get himself in the rhythm or whatever else? Or do you want to see it get to the point where it's like, Lonzo, just set up everybody else? Because Lonzo's shooting, I think he's shooting like 30% on the month so far, and it's been up and down all season long.
I think you got to let Lonzo kind of get back into that. It hasn't been great. He hasn't shot the ball well at any. I don't think he's had a game this in his last. Well, he didn't play for 7 games, but in the last 10 that he's played, that he really shot the basketball well. The one thing that I will say about it, though, is you can't tell him not to shoot it, because he's the one guy that does have that ability to get hot from 3. We saw that in the first 35 games that everybody was all excited about. We saw that a little bit earlier in the season. It's waned a little bit here as of late, but I don't think you go away from him. I think the problem right now is the fact that Lonzo is in a shooting slump at the same time that Nikola Vucevic has decided that he's done playing for the Chicago Bulls. And I think that's probably the worst case scenario in both of these situations, where you have 2 guys that you're relying on the floor, both unable to shoot the ball. And I think the difference with Lonzo's missed threes right now, or missed shots, I should say right now, is that a lot of them are long 3-pointers that are taking bounces, that are affecting positively for the Bulls. They're getting the offensive boards. They're fighting down low. A lot of Vooch's missed shots are like right at the rim. And
we're
he's
not going to talk about Vooch. Vooch.
bro, the push
the
shot,
definition of I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Bro, the push shot, for some reason, since Zach LaVine has been traded, has become Patrick Williams' push shot. It's almost like he changed the shot on his character because that has been horrible. That float is gone. I don't know what happened there, but the one thing I feel like we've talked about this game very positively, and now it's time to cook Billy Donovan. So let's start the Billy Donovan Cook Show. But first, we got to give you a word from our sponsors over at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. And there's no better place to get in on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you missed the opening tip-off or want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into same game parlays. Listen. The FanDuel live betting feature is so easy, and a lot of folks love using it because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether you're backing your team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, it never feels like you missed the chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. More Locked On Bulls coming up next.
All right, Pat. Every single game, there's at least something Billy Donovan does that you just have to look at. You just got to be like, are you stupid? Now, today, Modest Buzelis led the Bulls in scoring in the first half of the game. And I will admit, beginning of the third quarter was a little bit questionable, shaky play from him. Naturally, you bring in Julian Phillips. Julian Phillips plays solid defensively. We don't see Modest Buzelis from about 6.5 minutes left in the third to about 8 minutes left in the fourth. He plays for a little bit. He sits again and then only comes back in after Julian Phillips finally fouls out. In no way am I saying that Modest shouldn't have sat a longer stretch in that, because at some point, Julian was playing really well. The Bulls are actually in a nice defensive rhythm. But as that started falling off some, Billy Donovan didn't go away from the three-guard lineup where I feel like you don't have to take – Julian was playing really good defense. Even if you're like, all right, let's not take Julian out. It would not going to a more traditional two-guard, two-forward lineup maybe had even saved Julian Phillips some of the fouls because he wouldn't have to have recovered some. What do you think, Pat?
Listen, I mean, it's tough to say take anybody out of that final stretch, right? It was Lonzo Ball, it was Josh Giddey, Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White, and Julian Phillips. Julian Phillips is the one that you would have to take out there unless you're going to take out Lonzo Ball, who, I mean, while, yes, he is a guard, we know that he can guard forwards just as well as anybody out there. The problem that I have with Billy Donovan, a lot of problems. The problem that I have, DEI. The problem that I have with Billy Donovan, removing Modest from that moment is yet again it shows Modest Buzelis. I'm sorry, it shows Billy Donovan not being aware of what the real goal should be. And maybe this is a mandate from the front office and Billy has to take the shots on that, right? But taking Modest Buzelis out in clutch moments of games does not prepare Modest Buzelis to be in clutch moments of games. Yeah. Is there somebody on the court right now of the five guys that were on the court that you expect to be a star in clutch moments? Julian Phillips, I think we'd say no. Kobe, we kind of know what he is. Maybe he gets hot, maybe he doesn't. Vooch has got 1 foot out the door, 1 foot on a plane. Lonzo, maybe Lonzo's the one where it kind of comes back, but nobody's expecting star level from Lonzo. And Giddey, is going to give you more on the offensive end. He's going to give you on the defensive end. Why are you not preparing somebody who could be a young star for that moment? And why are we not continuing to give him the basketball? Modest Buzelis took 5 shots in the first quarter. He was 4 for 5. He took 2 in the second. He took 2 in the third, missed both of them. And he finished out the game taking 1 shot.
Mm-hmm.
What is the plan for this young man?
There is no plan, Pat. They're playing that's the plan, playing minutes. They don't run anything for him. I'm not saying that they need to run 15 plays a game for Josh Giddey. I'm not saying that, right? And he's being more productive in a similar situation as what P. Will was. Like, they didn't run plays for P. Will either, but Modest has been more productive in that because of his activity, attacking the rim, those type of things. But we don't even run backdoor lob plays for Modest Buzelis. If you're going to do anything easy for it, do that.
Yeah.
We don't run anything. There is no plan.
And I think that's the part that sucks, right? Is the production is definitely higher with Modest than what you got out of P. Will. I mean, he's been in double digits every single game outside of 2 over his last 10, right? He's been a highly efficient player. He shot at 35% from the 3-point line since then. The 3-point shot was his biggest question. He was 3 for 7 from 3 today. He shot at 43% from the field overall. But to me, you're not getting the young man that may be a actual future piece shots when he's being efficient. I've never seen a franchise do this.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a franchise go, hey, that young guy seems to be playing a lot better. Let's not give him more. Let's not put more on his plate. Let's not allow him. Let's not push the envelope and see where it falls off. I get it if it falls off. I get it if you give him 15 shots and he shoots 1 for 15.
He's like, all right, let's go back to the energy. We're just going to use the energy,
10.
right?
10's comfortable.
Yeah.
We like 10. He's locked at 10. If he even gets close to thinking about shooting more than 10, they stop. I don't even know if it's putting him in a position to take shots, but all of a sudden it's somebody else has to be shooting the basketball in these moments. Yeah. It's no longer Modest is a focal point. Modest is a focus. And you can tell he knows it because he gets all his buckets in the first quarter. Every time he has a big scoring game, he's like, let me go 4 for 5 real quick. And all right, I'm out.
It's unfortunate, man, but that's what Billy Donovan has right now for the kid. And let's hope that it changes. We'll keep watching it. We got 25 games left now on the season.
25 more games.
Let's get through it, Pat. That's all I can say, brother.
Give me something to get through. just like at least give Bulls fans, give them the thing that we want to see. We want to see the young dude play. There's no winning that we care about seeing. We came in here almost jovial at a competitive game that we lost. Yeah. We don't care about winning.
Yeah.
We're all in on development. Put the kid in a position to develop. I don't know, man.
Who knows, bro? We may even see next game Io starting instead of Modest. I don't put anything past
when everybody's healthy. If Modest is back to the bench.
Hey, back to the bench you go, Modest.
We've really wanted him to fit that Patrick Williams role.
Any last thoughts, Pat, before we get up out of here, man?
Oh, man. Somebody put a laxative in Billy Donovan's chewing gum. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Design. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Show love.
You guys can follow me at CEO Hayes. You can follow us collectively at Locked On Bulls. Go to LockedOnDaily.com to sign up for the daily Locked On Bulls newsletter. We'll catch you guys on Monday. Love you guys. Go Bulls, y'all. Peace.
I'm going to drink.